Welcome back to Global News Morning. A pleasure to have you join us. When listing your home, of course, curb appeal, very important to declutter. And if you find your home styling and the furnishings are a little outdated, it is time to spruce up. Please join me in welcoming Matt Lee. He's our good friend. We like to check in with him once a week. And good morning, Matt. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well. We're going to take a little trip down memory lane, look at some old decor that if some people still have this when they're
Yeah.
listing, maybe it is time to sprucing things up. What do you think?
I thought it was pretty fun just to kind of go back and take a trip down memory lane and look at all the things because you start looking at the pictures over the years and, do the decades and you're like, I remember that carpet. I had that piece. So, I think it's good. Yeah, I think we'll go back and see. And you know what? Some of the stuff has been there so long, it's almost coming back into the new style, right?
It's
So,
true.
uh, yeah,
Well,
so we'll
let's
take a
start
look.
off with the 60s. Everyone had wood paneling.
Yeah. You know what? Well, I actually renovated a house in the early 2000s when laminate just started to come out. And I said, this is the new paneling, right? Like, it's like you've taken the paneling, put it on the floor. But I mean, like, paneling was a big thing. Like, people looked at it back in the day. And like, that was a look where you could have that tongue and groove pine look or cedar. And it came in sheets. It was cheaper. So it was something that people always did their basements with, or they did the main area. So yeah, it was very popular.
I love watching shows like Brady Bunch or any television series from the 60s, early 70s. Linoleum flooring was huge.
Yeah, yeah. You walk into some places and it's funny because you see the patterns and you try to guess the era because like you look at the different patterns on the floor and they can be 1960s, 1970s. It's pretty neat. So it was tough then. It stood up. It still stands up, right? So it was good material.
You had the linoleum. You also had patterns were big colliding patterns.
Yeah, it was a new design right at the time, right? And you kind of had the different shapes that was either in carpets or it was in the linoleum. They wanted to kind of add something, and it was a trendy piece. We do different things now, right? You think there was, we just had red and blue and orange washer dryers come out, 10 years ago, and like you think back in the day, they were yellow and green. And but like we look at those now and we go, oh, those are ancient because they were this yellow color or green color. But yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yep, the 70s is always synonymous with a shag rug.
Shag rug. Yeah, so you start going through and you look and there was an updated version of that. Like basically we have new shag that's actually a little bit shorter and it's fluffy and it's more dense. But I mean, shag is actually coming back. So there's the carpet went from a Berber probably, I think that we started to change that 5 years ago, but we're back into that. Maybe not the orange shag, but we have like the darker colors, and I think it's one of those ones that's actually coming back. So
Who didn't visit their grandmother in the 80s and went to the bathroom and saw the fuzzy toilet seat cover?
yeah. I don't know where that came from. You wonder, and I mean, there was a time where they did carpet in the bathrooms too. And you think, oh, it's better to just stick with the tile or the linoleum. So, but
And in the 80s, floral patterns were huge.
yeah, well, you think about it. I mean, the floral patterns in the wall and the wallpaper. Again, we're pulling pieces nowadays from old things because like there's floral patterns that we're using on wallpaper, and wallpaper's back. They'll do an accent wall, and you'll do these pieces, and maybe the pattern isn't exactly the same. We've kind of come a long way with maybe a 3D design within the wallpaper, but it's the same thing, and it's just updated. So it looks nice, and we're back into the pinks and whites again, right? So that's the colors.
Glass blocks, so reminiscent of the 90s, too.
Yeah, yeah, those have not come back yet. I don't think
I
that
didn't mind them.
no, I know. I don't think that I think that those. It'll be something different over the next little while that they do. You want to have privacy. You don't want to have. You want to allow the light in. You don't want to block that wall. So what comes back? Maybe a full pane that's fogged. Or something. Something will change, and something like that will come back. So
Talk more about the 90s. Our entertainment centers now are very sleek. Back then, very
yeah.
big, very wooden, very open.
Yeah, bulky. I mean, they had to hold a really heavy TV, right? Like nowadays, our TVs are light, they hang on the wall. We don't need these entertainment centers. You need a little piece where you can put a modem or the box for the TV, and that's about it. We used to hold. Remember, we used to hold the DVDs or the VHS at the time, and it would have the VHS player and the antenna or whatever wherever you were, but it would be these big bulky TVs. So those are out. They're not. We don't need those as much anymore.
When you're selling a home now, do you ever still see sponge painting?
No, I don't see that as much. I mean, right, it'll be something that will come back in a different form, like they will do something. But right now, there's no sponge patterns. That was definitely late 90s, early 2000s. I remember seeing that a lot.
And
So,
also, let's not forget, you had animal prints were big. Also, wicker furnishing was very big. Take it into the
yeah.
2000s here now.
Yeah, so I think the wicker furniture has become, it's an outdoor furniture, really. We don't do indoor wicker, but we do see a newer style. Like the tight knit,
Mm.
something that's not going to poke you, because like it used to be this big round wicker style stuff, and they would splinter, and then it would poke you in the back of the leg, and it just didn't work, right? So I think that now we see something that is maybe a little more condensed, something that's a little more comfortable. So, but wicker's there, and I see that, So I think that we are taking wicker stuff outside. We are taking teak. Teak really had like a 1970s look to it, really, and that's coming back too, and it looks good.
Stainless steel appliances really came into its own in the 2000s, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah, they did. I think that white appliances, black appliances, and stainless steel is here to stay. Anything else outside that, I think it comes and goes.
Okay, and let's talk about quotes, word art. I still see these as furnishings in
Yeah,
stores.
yeah. I think that the design of the pattern, again, it's a pattern, and the design of the cursive writing changes. We change, those, and I think that those messages will always be there, and they'll always have something different that you can hang on the wall. But yeah, I think that they're the type of thing that you can hang on as basically art. Yeah,
Let's bring it up to date though. We have shiplap, explain what this is, and also
yeah,
accent walls, very, very big right now.
yeah. So accent walls can be wallpaper. People are really trending to, like, the trend is kind of lighter walls. We've talked about that in the past. We've talked about wood, the light walls. You can do a darker wall. You can do a wallpaper wall. So that is the accent wall, and that will just give the room a little bit of color. And you want to make sure that it doesn't have a blah look to it. The shiplap. So those shiplap is basically like almost like a tongue and groove that sits on the wall that has that boat look to it. And instead of it sitting nice and tight together, it actually sits probably about a half inch apart. So it has this even look that it's kind of like this space pattern, and it looks good.
I love it.
So it's a nice look.
And proof that even the biggest of stars back in the 60s and 70s had what might be considered gaudy by
Yeah,
today's standards. Let's look at Frank Sinatra's places
yeah.
he has had. Yeah, very dated now, but amazing back then.
I think there's some stuff that's even coming back in. If you start to look at these guys' houses, we have Sinatra's house and Dean Martin's. Dean Martin had the house that was kind of that white look. They did update it a bit, but I mean, you had the pool, you had the big windows, you had the light colors, and it was that California style.
Yeah.
Like it was. These guys had some beautiful places. The Johnny Carsons had kind of what was really trending that time. I look at a lot of this, and when I started flipping through the pictures, I was like, there's some stuff here that actually is starting to really come back. So it's pretty neat.
Isn't that interesting? Well, everything
Yeah,
does come back.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
except bell
All
bottoms.
right.
I'm hoping. No, don't want the
No,
bell bottoms. No.
you never know.
Matt Lee, we thank you so much. Be well. Take care.
Yeah. Take care. Bye bye.
Real estate tips brought to you by Matt Lee of Royal LePage.